Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Global Speakers Talk, where stories resonate, ideas thrive, and connections ignite. At Global Speakers Talk, our mission is to provide a global platform for voices that deserve to be heard, stories that deserve to be shared, and ideas that deserve to thrive. Hi, my name is JB Herrera, and I'm the founder and CEO of Insight Driven Business. I've dedicated my career to bridging the gap between innovation and small business success. My mission is to fuse human wisdom with technology to create values-driven businesses that bring people together all over the world through transformative opportunities. And I'm thrilled to be your host today for this event called Master of Change, Improve Your Personal Life. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce you to our illustrious lineup of speakers, each bringing their unique expertise and passion to the stage. We'll be welcoming Lisa Phillips, the Queen of Motivation, and her powerful message of hope and resilience has touched hearts across the globe. Next, we'll reach out to the brilliant Tanya Diamond, a renowned business and life strategist, and her insights into human behavior and strategic thinking have revolutionized the way we approach life's challenges. Our third speaker, Simona Petkova, is a transformational leader and a human design reader. Her work empowers people to live authentically and embrace their innate gifts. And our final speaker is Rico Sharp, Mr. Dynamo. He's a life coach, a TV personality, and his ability to connect with audiences and deliver actionable strategies for success has changed countless lives. Now, these four remarkable individuals represent the pinnacle of expertise in personal growth and transformation. Throughout the summit, they will share their invaluable insights, proven strategies, and stories to help you become a true master of change. Now, if you'll permit me, I'm going to set the stage for these world-class speakers by telling you a brief story. It's Alara's story. It's a sculptor's vision story. About 300 years ago, in a quaint village nestled along the rolling hills, there lived a sculptor named Alara. And her workshop was filled with tools and half-finished works, and it was really a testament to her dedication to her craft. Although many people didn't quite see it that way. They saw a series of unfinished sculptures and an undisciplined artist. Well, one day as she walked through the nearby quarry, she stumbled upon this enormous rough-hewn block of marble. It was a large leftover piece. It was rejected because it didn't reflect what was considered beautiful. It wasn't uniform in color or veining. It had cracks in its center. Most passersby only saw an unwieldy mass of stone. But Alara's eyes perceived something extraordinary. She envisioned a magnificent statue of a dancer, graceful and poised, waiting to be freed from its stony prison. So she made a decision. She determined to bring her vision to life, and she had the marble transported to her workshop. But as she stood before the imposing block with a chisel in her hand, she realized the enormity of the task ahead. The dancer was there, but reaching her would require patience, skill, and commitment. Well, Alara began her work. She started carefully chipping away at the excess stone, and each strike of her hammer sent shards flying, gradually revealing hints of the form within. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and her hands grew calloused, her arms ached, but her resolve never wavered. As time passed, the villagers grew curious about Alara's project. Some scoffed at her efforts, unable to see beyond the rough exterior. Others offered encouragement, sensing the potential in her work. Through it all, Alara remained focused on her vision, trusting in her ability to bring it to fruition. Slowly but surely, the dancer began to emerge. First, the curve of an arm appeared, then the arch of a foot. She refined her technique, switching to different tools to coax the delicate details from the unyielding stone. She polished and smoothed, her touch becoming gentler as the statue neared completion. Finally, after hours and hours, countless hours of labor, she stepped back to admire her creation. There, in the center of her workshop, stood a breathtaking statue of a dancer, every bit as graceful and beautiful as she had imagined. The rough block of marble had been transformed into a work of art that seemed to pulse with life and movement. The villagers, once skeptical, now marveled at the statue's beauty. They praised Alara's skill and vision, amazed at how she had seen such potential in what appeared to be an ordinary stone. She smiled, running her hand along the smooth surface. She knew that the true masterpiece wasn't just the statue itself, but the journey of its creation. And like the marble, we all have that hidden potential within us, waiting to be discovered and shaped by our experiences, our efforts, and the guiding hands of those who believe in us. Laura's story reminds us that personal transformation is a process that requires vision, persistence, and faith in our innate potential. Just as she saw the dancer in the rough stone, we must learn to see the best version of ourselves hidden beneath our current limitations. So, with dedication and the right guidance, we can chip away at our obstacles and polish our strengths, revealing the masterpieces that were meant to come. So, as we listen to today's speakers and invite you to listen to their invaluable insights, proven strategies, and inspiring stories, we ask you to help. We do these things to help you become your true master of change. So, without further ado, let's begin this extraordinary journey of self discovery and growth. Please join me in giving a rousing welcome to our first speaker. Lisa Phillips is a TEDx speaker. She is the queen of motivation. She's a faith-based entrepreneur, a leadership coach, author, and speaker. With a background in the U.S. Army and nonprofit establishment, Lisa holds a BS in business. She's a founder of She Will Rise. Lisa empowers Christian women to overcome limiting beliefs, build faith-based businesses, or align their home life, and achieve balance through her 5-step coaching program. Please welcome Lisa Phillips. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, JB, thank you so much. I am so fired up to be here with y'all. I want to say good morning from San Antonio, Texas. So, thank you for that backstory. That was just a beautiful, beautiful testimony of what can come out of nothing. And so, I want to just share a little bit about me. I'm born and raised from Connecticut, but been in Texas for most of my adult life. And I've struggled this past season, and that's where the She Will Rise coaching ministries come from. And it was a season of my life that almost broke me, and completely like wrecked me, and I had to unbecome so many things. I was in a very toxic relationship and found myself pregnant out of wedlock, then became a single mom nearly overnight. Even though my daughter's dad was physically there, he had checked out mentally, and all of the aspects that come with raising a child were put on my lap pretty much overnight. And it broke me. And then I was dealing with postpartum depression severely. And so it was this past season. I rose. I rose, and that's where She Will Rise comes from. And as JB shared, I'm a peak performance coach, and I help Christian women entrepreneurs step out in faith and launch their God given vision and walk boldly in their calling. And so that's really what I want to talk about today. I want to help y'all get unstuck, leave your stinking thinking at the door, and walk boldly and confidently into your purpose and calling. And so, how do we do that? Well, there it seems like there's a lot, and there's some key points. And the main thing is like, we are our own worst enemy. So, what is the narrative that we're telling ourselves over and over and over again? Because who do we spend the most time with? Ourselves. I mean, even when my daughter's at daycare and I'm home and I'm Zooming with my clients, I'm always with me. And so, you really, what I've learned from this past season is tapping into catching our thoughts and holding them captive, just like the Bible tells us to hold our thoughts captive to the Lord. And so that's really what has helped me step out of my stinking thinking. Is anytime, because especially with my postpartum, I was having thoughts after thoughts of harming my daughter, of breaking her bones. I mean, it was really, really upsetting, and I was in therapy, and so I'm so thankful for that. But I had to train myself to say, thank you, Lord, that those are not my thoughts. Thank you, Lord, that I can give you all of this. And it took time. It didn't just happen overnight. Sometimes you hear about miracles and people saying, "Oh, it was just like in this instant, my mindset changed and shifted." For me, it wasn't an overnight. For me, it was every single day capturing those thoughts and just saying, "Thank you, Lord, that those are not my thoughts. Thank you, Lord, that I do not have to believe what I'm repeating and what the enemy wants me to believe." And I heard somewhere a few years ago when one of my pastors was talking about mindset shifts, that there was a study that said you had so many hours if a thought comes into your mind, you had so many hours to accept it or reject it. And if you didn't reject it, it became part of your being. And so that also I held on to in this past season. And I used that to help my clients capture their stinking thinking so that they can leave all of the nasty thoughts and all of the even what the world tries to tell us what we should do, what we should believe, and step into what God has for them, step into who they were created to be. And so I want to ask you a question. What do you like more? What do you want more? Comfort, or to be the best version of yourself? And when
Mhm.
I say comfort, of course we all want comfort, right? But sometimes we find our comfort in what? In the complacency, right? And in like, well, I'm comfortable being here. And maybe that's even with your poor health. You're comfortable because you know that there's discomfort when we step out and start to change, right? And in our neural pathways, like the more we walk down one, so I heard it shared this way, that you are in the snow, okay? Like, say there's like 5 feet of snow and you walk through it once, well, then the wind comes and then you can't see your footprints anymore. But the more and more and more you tread down this one path, the more and more that snow is going to be compacted. And that's just like our neural pathways. So, yes, anytime we want to change, anytime that we think, oh man, like I know that there's more out there for me. I know that there is maybe it's a better health, better finances, a better job, a better relationship, but it's getting over that hump, right? It's getting over that first initial step to train ourselves to keep walking down that path and keep trampling that snow. So eventually it is not oh wait, I have to do this. Like, nope, let me capture my thoughts. It's just like that's how we do it. Like, how about driving to work? Have you ever driven to work or maybe your kid's school and you're like, wow, how did I get here? That's a perfect example of your neural pathways just working because you don't even think about it. You just go. And so that's such a beautiful tool to be able to have, is to be self-aware, right? To be self-aware and just to keep asking yourself, am I comfortable in this routine because I'm like safe in here and this is my safe spot? Or is there a greater comfort? As in, will I actually be feeling more fulfilled when I step out? Like if you feel that there's something, like maybe you've been like me from a young age, like you just know that you were meant for more. And you weren't sure what that meant, what that looked like, but there was just this feeling in you like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now, but I know that it's not this. That is, for me, I believe, a little nudge from the Lord saying, hey, my beloved, like, I got more for you. And he does. And so being able to capture our thoughts, being able to see outside of the little sphere and bubble that we are in. Because I'll tell you what, when you're going through it, when you're in a trial and in the fire, it is so hard. It is so incredibly hard to be like, there's better for me. Because let me tell you, and I get choked up about it, when I was going through that and going through the postpartum depression, going through having pretty much nothing. I mean, my family's in Connecticut. I'm in Texas. I don't really have a lot of help. I'm also feeling shamed that I let myself get into this situation, that I believed, whatever it is that I believe that this person was saying to me and all the promises. And even like I consider myself a very strong person. So even to be in a relationship that was abusive, it was mentally and emotionally abusive and draining. I ended up gaining after my daughter was born, almost 40 pounds. I almost got up to 300 pounds because I was just so stuck. And I knew I had to get out of this, but I didn't see how. And I just, those thoughts and just reminding myself to hold them and be like, no, they are not mine. Thank you, Lord, for that reminder. Slowly, slowly, I was digging myself out and being able to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And it was a long process. All in all, that season was about 3 years. But now, from that, God has equipped me to come alongside those that maybe they're not in the fire right now. Maybe they've been through the fire, or maybe they're just on the outskirts of it. But no matter what, like, I have been equipped now to help others come out because of my testimony. And that is the same with your testimony. What you've lived through gives you the authority to say, hey, look it, I came out of it and so can you, and this is how we do it. And so in that, we just have to keep going back to that question of, what do I want more? Do I want this comfort, whether it's like food? Because that was my comfort during that time was, and in all honesty, it was one of those huge chocolate Hershey bars, no lie. That was my comfort. And I would eat multiple of those a day. But what did that bring me? That gave me comfort for like a nanosecond. But then it hurt me, not only internally because I was putting on weight, but then the shame and everything else that came with that. And so I want to remind us that God has in Jeremiah 29:11, he tells us that he has plans for us. And it's for a future and hope and goodness. It is not for our destruction. And so whether you believe in the Lord or not, like these are good principles to live by, right? I firmly believe in Jesus Christ, but even if you don't, just knowing that you were created for more and that there's a purpose for your life, like that is such a key aspect of knowing and helping yourself climb out of whatever situation that you're in, whether it was your own choices that put you there, because it was my own choices that put me where I was, right? Or and sometimes there's outside forces. So keep asking yourself, this comfort that I have, is this it? Is this all that I have? Or can I take that step of faith? Can I start walking down that one pathway of snow and just where it's 5 feet tall and now it goes to 4 feet and 3 feet and 2 feet. And then eventually it's just smooth sailing where, yes, there's going to be discomfort when you step out of your comfort zone, right? There's going to be discomfort. But in the end, it is in the discomfort where change happens. It's in the discomfort that we realize what we are capable of doing and all that we can do, right? And I think it was like Einstein or something that said, and I paraphrase, like we would truly astound ourselves if we actually did all the things that we were capable of doing. Or maybe it was Henry Ford. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But someone said it. And I just remember the quote. I don't remember the person, but they said like it would truly astound ourselves if we were actually to do everything that we were capable of doing. So ask yourselves, what do you want more? The comfort of being stuck or the discomfort for a season to creating and to doing and to stepping out in everything that God has called you to do? And maybe that starts with you asking yourself, what was I passionate about when I was a kid? What was I passionate about maybe during college? Or maybe there's a new season. Maybe you're an empty nester and you're like, well, now my kids are in college. Like, I don't have grandkids yet. So, what can I be doing right now? Well, start brainstorming, start thinking. And I highly encourage you, pen to paper. It is Much different when you're actually writing it out and you can see your words in your handwriting, and that triggers something in your brain, and it's more than just a thought now. And then you can start creating actionable steps. So if you're stuck and you have this stinking thinking, and you know that there's more and you want to do more and you want to walk out and be more, start putting pen to paper and ask yourself, what was I what was I passionate about in my youth? Or what now? Like maybe for me, it was I loved theater. Okay, y'all. I was on every stage growing up. I got voted headed to Hollywood in high school. But I also loved animals, like 100%. I'm an animal lover. So for instance, in high school, I was in the wrong crowd and started doing drugs and drinking and all the things. And so I ended up joining the army and became a veterinarian, or I'm sorry, a vet tech. And so I was helping the veterinarians, and I became a vet tech, and I worked with the military working dogs. And that passion actually led me to establish and write federal legislation called the Canine Members of the Armed Forces Act. And that led me to establish a nonprofit that provides free medical care to these dogs when they retire and help transport them to their forever homes. So it's like, eh, I, I kind of like, I knew what I loved, which was the acting, but then I also knew I loved the military, and I didn't know the Lord at this time, but it's just amazing how everything just works, you know? And so go back and think. And then even if you're nothing's coming to mind, start doodling or start just putting on, I love just putting on some instrumental music and just start thinking and start asking questions. And as the questions come, eventually answers going to come, and maybe there may be more questions. But so what breaks your heart is one of them. Like, Lord, what breaks my heart? And like, what do I see in the news where it just stirs me, and it's like, oh man, if I wish I could help these people. Like, that's a good sign of what your purpose and calling could be. And it may not be exactly that. It may actually like branch off into over here, and that's okay. And so start asking those things, like, and then capturing your thoughts. And when you do, I promise you, you will not remain how you are. Change will start to happen. Absolutely, change will start to happen. And in 2 Timothy 1, God shares with us that from the beginning, it was his plan to save us and to give us a good future as well. So like all throughout. And so if you are a Christian, I'd highly recommend just going to your Bible app and looking up like scriptures on hope and of a good future and a wisdom. Like, just start looking into things. And if you aren't, it's the Bible is just full of great wisdom. So even if you aren't a believer, Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, is amazing. And so I would just highly encourage you to keep asking questions and digging deep. And then when you find something that you're like, oh, that actually feels good. That makes me feel like, yes, I can take this route. You know, for me, with coming out of this past season and She Will Rise, I love pouring into people. I love bringing out the gold. And so She Will Rise came to be my coaching ministry. And just this past week, God said, I want you to start a nonprofit with that as well. So it's amazing the steps when if you just start thinking and asking questions, what can happen? And if you need help coming up with questions, y'all, I mean, you can reach out to me, but let me tell you, ChatGPT is amazing. So you can ask ChatGPT, hey, what are some stirring questions to ask myself to help me find my purpose and calling? And so I just want to encourage you that there are ways to get out of your stinking thinking. There are ways to walk into your purpose and calling. And I would love for you to reach out to me on Instagram, Lisa Phillips 82. And let's just have a conversation and see how I can help with what you're bringing forward. And so I just hope that today blesses you. I hope that all these speakers are just exactly what you needed to hear, and that you just keep walking boldly into who you were created to be. Thank you.
Oh, Lisa, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate your message. And if there's any way that I can help you in your ministry, I'm more than happy to step into that opportunity as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you, JB.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Tanya Diamond, a true Renaissance woman of the 21st century. Tanya is a business and life strategist whose expertise spans an impressive array of fields. With 45 years of unique worldwide education and extensive knowledge in thousands of subjects, Tanya has become the go-to expert for those seeking rapid and effective solutions to life's most complex challenges. As a two-time TEDx speaker and organizer, Tanya has captivated audiences with her innovative ideas and transformative strategies. Her visionary work in healing and optimizing the nervous system boasts an astounding 99% success rate in transforming trauma and unwanted behaviors, impacting over 82,000 people and 22,000 animals across 60 countries. With her unique blend of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge strategies, Tanya has helped countless individuals and businesses unlock their full potential. So please welcome Tanya Diamond. Tanya, welcome.
Woo! Thanks so much for all of that amazing introduction. I always find myself going, wow, she sounds cool. Who is that person? Awesome. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here, everybody. And I understand that our most valuable resource is our time. So I want to let you know right now that if you're taking time with me to listen to me and be here with me today, I appreciate that. And I'm very grateful for that because we don't get this time back. So let's make it super valuable. One, by showing up, being present. You might have me in your ear while you're driving, whatever it is, but really tune in because knowledge in the head does not equate mastery in the being. And what I mean by that is we have a tendency to, to consume and input so much knowledge thinking, and you'd think with my bio that why am I even saying this? But putting all that knowledge in our head does not translate into action. Epiphanies don't create change. Epiphanies do not create change. And most of us will have it. We'll listen and watch things and go, wow, that's awesome. And then get motivated and don't take any action. So I'm going to encourage everybody when you listen to any speakers, when you consume any information, that you at least come away with one thing that you put down on your calendar or something and taken the action with it, because that's the way to, first of all, change your brain, change your habits, change anything that you're doing requires action in the direction you want to go. So that's my prompt for everybody you're going to be listening to anywhere, anytime, any book you're reading. All right, Tanya Diamond here. You already know that. I'm going to tell you a little bit of background about me, but quite frankly, you probably don't really care that much. We'll get to the other good stuff in just a moment, but giving you how I came to be this way. I'm autistic and I'm also a polymath. And what is that? You're going to look it up and think I know math. No, that's not my skill set. A polymath is simply somebody who has expertise in a wide range of subjects. And I've been gifted because of action to not have to work more than full-time since I was 30. I've only worked part-time. So I've been able to pursue a lot of different things. And I am a nerd. Check it. Blue blocker, click glasses. Doesn't get nerdier than that. I'm going to, so my daughter tells me. So autistic creates trauma. Being smart enough, there's a thing called 2E, twice exceptional. I call it twice screwed. It means that basically I'm smart and I'm smart enough to know I'm messed up, but smart enough to know that most people that are trying to help me aren't smart enough to help me. What is all that about? Okay. So I went through life traumatized by a series of events, well-meaning people that just didn't really understand things. For instance, at 4 and 5, I was at home reading adult Encyclopedia Britannicas, just for fun. I like to read medical articles for fun too. I told you I'm a nerd, right? And so I'm reading at home, but I snapshot read. I don't read words individually. I read pages. And so when I went to school, they're trying to be helpful and they're saying, here's an A, here's a B. They're teaching me an alphabet. I have no idea. What are these people talking about? What are these things? And so everybody thought I was developmentally delayed. So the teachers were assuming that. I don't know what my parents were doing. I don't know why my parents weren't involved in any of this to say, no, indeed, she actually is reading. So see, Dick, run, Jane, whatever, all of the things that we're supposed to do in those early years left me confounded, confused, and trying to figure out what's going on. So that's how a lot of us feel misunderstood 100%. And misunderstood, as well as seeing the world completely differently, which I didn't know for a long time than other people, definitely left me also depressed, anxious, depressed. By the time I was in 7th grade, a teacher saw me do something. And so she thought to actually question. The other thing is we moved all the time. Africa, South America, every 6 months or a year, I was in a different school. So nobody ever had time, a teacher or anybody, to really get to know me, to see beyond what they were seeing. And so she asked me a bunch of questions. I went off on my, because I love to disseminate information, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, wow, okay, clearly. So then they skipped me 3 grades. That was a nightmare too, just saying. So, okay. As I got older and realized that I was processing information differently, I was not this articulate, let me tell you. It was just a flood stream of free flow thought, nonstop. People were over me pretty fast. So difficult to make friends. I say inappropriately awkward things. I don't like to be in other people's spaces because I don't know what the rules are, and there are always rules. You get it. You get the picture. And then there was also trauma, sexual trauma, and other types of trauma growing up. Okay. In my 20s, I was like, I need help. I need help. And I couldn't find help. There was talk therapy. There were some other things, and none of those were working. I could talk about it, but it didn't feel like talking about it really helped. So I decided I had to figure this out. I'd also had at that point, a lot of ancient spiritual training. I have a Tantra lineage, which is a energy mastery lineage, not about the sex we all think Tantra means, but it's actually an ancient technology of energy mastery. So that taught me a lot. And then I wanted to be a I wanted to be a brain surgeon. And so a lot of medical things really interested me too. It's like I said, I used to binge read medical abstracts, and I still do. So combining that ancient wisdom and this modern brain science started me on a path to try to understand, how do we really change? Because I didn't believe that my autism, at some point it was OCD, autism, ADHD, if you name it, I probably got labeled it, right? And yet I realized evolution designed us to change, right? Yeah, mostly over long-term, catastrophic events, right? But if evolutionary designed us to change, and this was before neuroplasticity was even talked about, because I'm 63. We're talking 45 years ago, right? I had to go read in the libraries. There was no Google. So if we were created to change, and if all things evolved, then that meant that obviously we could. So what's the mechanism? What do we do? So I started reading, I started experimenting. We found the 21-day habit thing, which, by the way, is not true, because if it was only 21 days to change a habit, we'd all be fine, because any of us could muscle through 21 days. That experiment was actually done with guys in a lab 24/7 who had upside down goggles on 24/7. And at the end of 21 days, their brain made the adjustment so that they could see differently. None of us are doing something 24/7 to change our brain structures and our pathways. And since your brain was developed to automate everything, it actually doesn't want to change. So if you think change is hard, it's not because you have something wrong with you. Literally, change is hard. So we're created to automate everything. The berry over there is red. That's poison. That smell you smell is a bear cave. Don't go near it. Some pretty basic stuff if you think about how we were living our lives for thousands and thousands, perhaps millions of years, right? Automate the brain, tells you the things you need to know. our brain structures have not evolved as fast as our lives, technology, and everything else that's happening. So we get a lot of info now and a lot of stuck places now that basically keep us stuck and very hard to change. So, but then I realized there has to be a way. If we get stuck in trauma, if we get stuck in beliefs, if we get stuck in thoughts, then there's ways that we got stuck. So I kind of reversed engineered that. What does that look like? All right. So it's a pretty simple process if I break it down this way. And I just realized, JB, you're going to have to give me some heads up at time. I didn't even look at the time when I jumped on. So give me some 5-minute countdown, please.
You got you.
Because otherwise, yeah, all right. So let's say you decided to become a 6 a.m. go to the gym person, right? Now, you start off with enthusiasm. First morning, well, maybe not. Okay, not enthusiasm. Got it. You start off and you're like, get up. You willpower. And we all know, or willpower has a finite time frame. You know this because you run out of willpower, especially the more decisions you make, the less willpower you have by the end of the day. Your best willpower is morning. So if anything's really important, you always want to get it done in the morning. So you start off, in a few days, things go well. This is going great. You're getting up. You're feeling like, woo, maybe I got this. And then one morning, you wake up and you have a cold. Here's where it gets tricky. When you were young, when you had a cold, your parents, your family, whoever told you, you have to rest. It's important for you to get sleep. You should rest when you have a cold. If you were raised that way, that's a program. You don't realize that. But it's a program. Your brain goes, sick, rest, no gym. You get thrown off track. What you don't realize is that your brain and body actually created that cold to sabotage you. A neural pathway in your brain, a pathway to an automation, is really structured and deep and purposeful. Your brain puts it there for survival. It doesn't have any judgment. Your subconscious mind is not judging whether or not getting up to the gym or not going to the gym is important. It only knows what survival means to it. And in your file cabinet, stay in bed, rest when you're sick is survival. So it takes a really big amount of energy in your brain to change a neural pathway to become a 6 a.m. in the morning person when you hate mornings. That is like, hating mornings is a pathway that your brain thinks it's keeping you alive. It's not true, but that's what you believe. We're actually all morning people, by the way. If you really understand circadian rhythms and, we're not nocturnal, you'll understand that. But talk about that at a different time. So your brain literally created a cold so that you wouldn't change that neural pathway. That's what happens. So every time you want to make a change, when I'm helping people make big changes, or more importantly, train their brain so it stops fighting you when you want to change. That's what I do behind the scenes. It's important to understand you're going to run into your brain's sabotaging mechanisms. It's just a lot more energy to make the change. So let's say you know how to train your brain. What happens then is that that's coming. And when you get that sniffles in the morning, you just go, yep, I'm getting up and I'm going to the gym. Now, it'll ramp it up. There's things that are incredibly impressive. What your brain can do and what your body can do is astounding. And if you've ever probably not dove into there's a new word for it now, but easily different personalities can actually change. If somebody has that, they can actually change from diabetic to non-diabetic in the same body. So I'm telling you, your brain is amazing and your body's amazing. So you have to actually resist that urge. You have to go through. So how long does it take? Let's say you're sick and you just fight it and you go to the gym anyway. Will your brain be fine the next day? No. It's going to take a while the first time you try to be up against this. It's going to challenge you a lot. You may get sick, then you may get sicker. Then weirdly enough, you're going to stub your toe or do something that looks like an accident. It's so interesting. So at some point though, your brain goes, okay, all right, we are 6 a.m. get up, go to the gym people now. And it takes the effort to create a branch off of the superhighway to we get up at 6 a.m. now. And then the more you do it, the more you erode. It's like a, off ramp off the freeway. You're always going to Houston or wherever, but now you have exited. And then you keep catching that and you exit sooner and you exit sooner. And pretty soon you're a 6 a.m. get up in the gym morning person. Love to tell you that happens quickly. It doesn't. But if you use the right tools and you learn to train your brain, this is what else can happen. December 2022, I decided to go 100% carnivore. Now, I'd been a vegetarian hardcore before that, all for my health, but my health was declining on a perfect diet. So, of course, anytime I'm up against a challenge, I've cured 4 incurable illnesses so far. I was like, okay, this means this is not working. I don't care if they're saying it's the healthiest way I can do. This is not working. So I did some research and ran into a bunch of people doing the 100% carnivore diet. And then on December 19th, I decided I was going 100% carnivore. And so when I say to my brain, I'm doing this, these days, my brain knows it's more effort to not change because it's learned that when I say a phrase, I am going to do this, my brain is like, okay, this is going to take way more energy to fight her than it is just going to lay that down. So December 18th, I was 100% vegetarian. December 19th, I was 100% carnivore. There you go. Give up sugar, no problem. Get up at a certain time, no problem. Do that. It doesn't take willpower anymore once that neural pathway is built in. Then it's who you are. So who we are, how we roll, introvert, extrovert, all of these things, every single thing is changeable. That's pretty incredibly cool. All right. So how many years later? So it took me 10 years to test out these practices, proprietary practices that I teach people to create these changes. They are somatic body practices as well as mental practices, because we have this thing called our 5 innate systems. And innate is INNATE, not 8. 5 innate systems. These are things we all have. When we're created via energy. Energy creates an agreement, when the sperm meets the egg, to transform energy into matter, right? Energetics. Next thing that happens is chemical, cell division, other things like that. So chemistry and all that creates emotion or sensations in the body, right? Feelings. Physical body doesn't fully develop till you're 18, and mentally you don't fully develop till you're 25. But these 5 innate systems inhabit all of us. This is how we're created. We unfold that way, and we can change using those 5 innate systems as well. Most of us go to heal mentally, right? Talk therapy, different things. Talk therapy is great. You learn how to speak things that you haven't spoke. It's not going to change the cellular memory or the things that are inhabiting in your somatic body. Most people have a toxic relationship between their head and their bodies. So you know that, right? The narcissistic head telling your body, say, I got to pee. And you're like, you can't pee. You're talking to somebody. It's all those things we tell our body that aren't very kind when we don't listen to it. So eventually we gain a lack of self-trust. So using these nature against nature, so to speak, is how we can learn how to get out of the patterns, habits, problems, illnesses. Dare I say, I know people are like, I'm glad I'm not on TEDx talk on a stage, because TEDx talk will never let me talk about curing the incurable, just saying. But I can say that it's possible. All right. So what are some practices? Oh, I know it's going to end with saying, so in it being autistic and all these quote unquote labels should actually not allow me to be here today. Now, I did have a little challenge behind the scenes. You're going to notice everybody had a different background than I do. Virtual backgrounds, because I don't spend time in them, freak me out at first. Now, yay, thank you guys for letting me not have that, because it's a little bit easier. And I would have had to, I'm going to get cut off. And I would have had to taken a minute, probably more than a minute, probably would have taken me 15 or 20 minutes of watching the blur go by for me to repattern that I was okay with that. It would have been distracting. So I really appreciate that I was allowed to, and JB just showed you what the other background looks like, not do that. So it doesn't mean that I'm not autistic anymore. It doesn't mean that there aren't things in my brain that wired and work differently. But I will tell you that I used to be way non-functioning, very, very non-functional in so many ways. And that isn't the case anymore. So even my autistic traits, even my whatever, anxiety, I don't have anxiety, I don't have depression anymore, OCD, no. So most of those things are gone. My brain still processes information at lightning speed. Actually changing my neural pathways ramped up the good parts of what I'm all about while changing and decreasing the others. Learning to manage your chemistry means that you can manage anything changing state. So this stuff's all real. It's not voodoo, it's science. It's a mixture of old ancient energy practices and modern brain science. Like I said, took 10 years to figure it out, took another few years of testing it on other people. I'd been my own guinea pig. And all of these things actually work. So the good news is change is possible. The better news is change is possible to become even easier if you get your evolutionary design on track. How do you start? Basically, it starts with the most unsexy, boring thing you probably will ever hear that you've heard a million times, but you're probably not doing. It starts with learning to breathe and becoming self-aware. Self-awareness, you think you're self-aware? I guarantee you, you're probably not. But here's a quick vagus nerve breath. The vagus nerve is the biggest nerve, runs all through your body, and it's hypersensitive to social engagement. It's hypersensitive to your neural pathways. It's kind of like the master nerve that if you master it, you're going to be better off. Most people's vagus nerve is stuck in fight or flight mode. So even if you don't think you're anxious, when you start doing this, you'll probably find out you were really anxious. A short 2 inhale, gentle, not short, 1, 2, and then exhale through pursed lips as long as you can. Usually, hopefully a count of 8. As you're exhaling, feel the deflating of your body. Feel like you're a balloon that's deflating. So 1, 2. Maybe you can only exhale 4. That's okay. Start wherever you are. Try to do this in no tension, not breathe through into your belly and out through pursed, relaxed lips. That vagus nerve breath, do it 5 minutes, 7 days a week. Why 7 days a week? Because we're training your brain to go and look for this as a tool. And if you say it out loud, vagus nerve breath, as you set your timer and do it 5 minutes, 7 days a week. I guarantee you're going to go, I can do 5 minutes, 7 days a week. And then you'll find yourself doing it 6. Why? Brain sabotage. Your brain is like, dude, this is going to change things. This is changing things. I don't know if this is safe. Danger, danger, danger. So yeah, you'll flake it out because you had a guest over. You'll flake it out because you slept in. It's 5 minutes. That one single practice, 5 minutes a day, 7 days a week, don't stop. Like years, don't stop, will allow your body to understand that it has a mechanism and it can go grab that tool. You'll actually start doing it automatically when your stress level rises, but it works. Not, does it work? It always works. It works no matter what, except if you're a sociopath. If you're a sociopath, you would not be on this call. I know. Isn't that funny, Jamie? I've tested that. All right. Are we done? Are we out? How are we doing? All right, guys.
Let's go ahead
Thanks
and
so much.
summarize.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you for being here 7 days a week. Do it, do it, do it.
Wow. Thank you, Tanya. That's amazing. I didn't realize the journey that you had. So this is wonderful to get to hear your story. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Our next speaker is Simona Petkova. She's a transformational leader, coach, communication and soft skills professional, human design reader, and public speaker that had already helped 400 business individuals and high-performing teams to effectively and innovatively lead their individual or team to success. She's going to show you how to guide yourself toward unlocking your true potential. So please welcome Simona Petkova. Simona, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Also, Elisa and Tanya, I was listening to both of your speeches and breathing also with you, Tanya. Very appreciating it. Thank you for introducing me. I want to tell you maybe at the very beginning, since I'm at a very transformative stage of my life right now, I'm coaching and providing the speeches in between my surgeries. So I apologize for any unpleasant sounds that you may hear due to my inner and outer braces. At the moment, I have the transformation of the physical reality. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Besides having this heavy transformational fit right now, I'm a person that is coming from one country that is located in the middle of Europe. However, in my life, I was required to transit through several countries. It has been already in the past decade, I've counted 4 countries, and it was 5 times that I needed to restart my whole life from zero. So that means, in other words, everything that I was ever living at one stage, considering it the one reality, I needed to completely remove, distract. That, of course, may lead you in thinking of what kind of a challenges, maybe you can imagine what sort of a challenges I was placed into. But in those challenges, of course, were also the opportunities. And the reason why I was changing these countries, of course, I've learned it over the time, since I've discovered that through human design, I'm a projector with a 4-6 role modeling profile. And this is exactly what I needed to go through that life stages. So let me tell you a little bit about what that person was experiencing, that shifts of the realities and that redirections of the realities must need to go through. So of course I've gone through situations when I needed to completely remove myself from my surrounding, from any job, from anything that I have built at the current stage of my life. That's happened 5 times over the 11 years, as I have said. So yeah, it was happening also because of at those moments when I was considering the change, I was at those life moments when I was truly feeling that there is something that is missing. There is something that is sort of a potential, that is sort of a ability that hasn't been yet reached. Of course, I have had the moments when my surrounding was asking me the questions about why you need to change, why you need to move to another country, why you are not satisfied with what you are doing right now, or why aren't you satisfied with your earning. My mother asked me also quite frequently, isn't it enough of what you have achieved by now? So there was all the questions, of course, that I had the answers for, and they were always relevant at the moment. So one part of me was working a little bit more with removing all these layers, because there was one part that needed to truly work with removing at first that part of a personality, of that part of identity that I have had. And the second part of me was always working towards what I wanted to be at another stage. So let me tell you step-by-step process of what I was doing when I was removing these layers. Of course, at first, I've needed to understand that our reality and that my reality is not something that is static. Yeah, so I've gotten the understanding that the reality actually is more sort of a fluid, and I'm the person that is structuring it, that is working with my own frequency on changing that reality. But of course, I needed to understand that, yes, most likely that surrounding that I have right now of the people who are questioning me this points at that moment is not the surrounding that I will have at my next level reality. So that was the first step. The second one was that I definitely needed to remove all this sort of a conditioning about me, when the people were asking me whether this is enough or why it is not enough yet, what would be enough for me. Yeah, so those are all the layers, all the patterns that we have, that heavy programs that we have around us to be in a sort of be placed in sort of a box and to fulfill that place where you may feel like ordinary, when you may fit into the ordinary. So I was obviously never like that. I was never fitting, and I will never be fitting. I know that. So that was the second part. The third part was that accepting of something different, accepting of me being an individual that will need to step into something different, maybe another sort of a potentiality, another sort of uncovery within myself. I have done it 5 times, and I can tell you that I can look backwards into my realities, and always when I have cut one part of a reality, one life reality, I was going always to a higher stage. How I knew that this is going to be that higher stage? I knew it because at the time when I've changed, when I went through this process, I will tell you also about that second part, I needed to, and I know it, that there will be coming the opportunities that would be, of course, sort of, absolutely scaring for me at the very beginning. But then I've understood them as those are the ones, they're coming to me, they're appearing in my reality as something to what I have evolved, something to what I have transitioned, that I needed to definitely take it. It is coming to me because I am already ready for it. So this is, I want you to have, when you have this feeling, when there is something special coming to you that you are absolutely scared about, I want you to understand that this is the requirement for your shift. This is something that you may consider as a point that this opportunity is coming there because you are ready for it, rather than something that is about to scare you, that is about to put you down. But let me return to that second part of what I was doing. So when I was in a feeling of redefining that reality and the feeling of a need to change that, I always had a sort of a process on a one place. So the process was more like internal. In this process, I was working within my personality, with who I was at the moment, towards who I see myself to be in the another reality. I was asking myself several questions. Some of them was something like this: how I would like this new person react, how I would like this new person to show up, what is this new person about to do and how, with whom is about this new person collaborate, on which creative initiations is going to be this person creating, or where she is going to be involved with whom, what we are going to be these people. How is this new person about to heal herself, because we have, of course, the self-healing abilities. How is this new person about to feed herself? What is going to be her sort of trainings that she is going to do for her body, for her well-being? What are the new habits that this new person is going to have? What will be her surrounding? How will be she creating in her new reality? So those were all the questions that I was, of course, asking myself and evolving at that stages of a new reality. Of what I have learned over this time, of course, I have understood that there is one significant thing that we all need to be aware of if we would want to be the high achievers, and that is the ability to differentiate ourselves. This is something that is very natural at our individuality of each of us. We're not coming here to be the ordinary working class. We're not about here to be considered as starting in a static reality that is not changeable. Instead, I want you to understand and to believe that we are here to be that effective, genius individuals that are self-leading their own reality, that have the self-leading abilities within themselves, and they can change their own reality as many times as is required. So for that person that they have evolved over the time through numerous of the challenges and really scary moments in some of the situations, this was truly something that was required for me to have a look right now into that different realities that I went through, and it is truly a fascinating look. I want you to be aware that one of another biggest lesson that I have had over the time was accepting my own power. And this is one of the things that I'm sure that if I tell you that in some certain of the scenarios, when I speak with the people, when I coach them, there is one significant aspect that speaks about the acceptance of your own power. This is most likely something when people are afraid to step up into something they have never done, or experiencing different things in a life, experimenting a little bit with the life. They're usually afraid of their own abilities, accepting their own power. And this is something that I have learned, that we have a massive amount of the power that is truly within us. And we, with our differentiating abilities, we are able to collect it all and work within and rise up as individuals, and then therefore collectively. Right now, I want to bring you a little bit closer to a current reality and to what is happening right now, to bring you a little bit more awareness of how you might be using it and what you might be seeing. As our reality, as I said, is a fluid. Right now, we are living in something what I call as an open window, when we all can finally do one thing, and that thing is redirection. We can do the redirection of putting that all attention to that external space of a reality, of that external parts that we have been always conditioned to live with, of that questioning all the time of, or waiting for answering the external sources of what the doctors are going to tell us, what the outer sources is going to tell us, what the politicians are going to tell us, how we are supposed to react, how we are supposed to deal with certain part of in our society, or what we are supposed to eat, how we are supposed to train, what we are supposed to do. And this is exactly what we may right now step up as powerful individuals. We may redirect this part again and drive that personal and collective reality from within us, which is way more powerful if we would at first, as a first step, take that moment to center ourselves to within us and find the driving sources for self-leadership of our realities, for setting up the realities as we want, for healing, finding in ourselves how to heal us, because we have absolutely a different bodies. We are totally different individuals, and we are not supposed to be treated equally and healed equally. Our abilities is in understanding our differences. Our ability, when I always speak with the people, is in understanding the differences and how most effectively work within them. So when I'm reading this specific human designs for people, I'm truly amazed by working with that individual genius that each of us possess, of that part that is some kind of a sort of a hidden due to the heavy programming that is being placed on us in our society, that asks us at the first to not differentiate, but to stick to a sort of a being in the same road, in the same sort of doing the things. However, this is truly not what may work for us. There are 5 different types according to human design, and each typology has completely different way of working with energy, I may need to address one point. My energy is not highest at the morning. My energy as a projector is the highest at the evening, and is the highest in the afternoon. And I'm therefore, it would never fit for me to work from the morning. Yeah, and I'm also, when it comes to creativity, I have the biggest the creative ideas. They're coming to me usually in the afternoon and in the late, very late at the evening. And this is exactly what I see from those individualistic approaches. When I look at the people, when I look at their personalized readings, how they're set up, how they're supposed to function, we're truly not in our society behaving and functioning this way. So maybe as a point of a thought for you to start to think about this sort of a direction, to take it from that generic way of how we have been programmed, and understand that in this current reality we already have evolved that much as an individuals, that we might be possessing that abilities to redirect the reality as we want. We are possessing the abilities to truly work within ourselves and do not look for the external resources, because everything is already within us. And we truly, if we want to be successful, we need to differentiate ourselves and evolve and expand that expert that is directly in us already. So thank you so much, and I wish you all the luck, all the best parts within your evolvement. You definitely know where to find me. I'm searchable through a Level Life Coach. This name is supposed to serve as a name for self-leading abilities that may be found in all of you, so that this is not speaking about me. This is supposed to be the brand speaking about all of us, to be that particular coach that has the abilities to self-lead himself or herself.
Well, I love that. Thank you, Simona. Really appreciate all of your wisdom. Great, great background. Really deep into the thought process. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's now my honor to introduce our batting fourth and hitting cleanup, our speaker, a true catalyst for personal information and transformation, Rico Sharp. With over 3 decades of experience as a motivational speaker and life coach, Rico has ignited positive change in countless lives across the nation. His dynamic approach to leadership and development and interpersonal discovery has inspired students, corporate leaders, and even professional athletes in the NBA, NFL, and WBO. Rico's presentations are a powerful blend of energy, humor, and profound wisdom. He doesn't just speak to his audience, he engages them, makes them laugh, reflect, and most importantly, believe in their own potential. So, Rico empowers individuals to overcome obstacles, build resilience, and achieve their goals. His message is clear: with the right mindset and tools, you can reach the pinnacle of your success. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and transformed. Please welcome to the stage the incomparable Rico Sharp. Rico.
Yes, thank you, JB. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with Global Speakers Live. I want to empower those of you who are out there listening, and for those of you who will catch this broadcast hereafter, this live stream hereafter. All of our speakers have been phenomenal. The information has been very valuable, and I am here to bring to the table what I have to offer from my 33 years of experience. And I want to talk to you about how to improve your life. And I want to start out by sharing with you my story. My story began at the age of 13 when I was a straight A student in high school. And I had some personal issues going on at home. My father was away living in another household, raising another family. And the fact that he was not in my life began to create a void, a vacuum. My mom was a teenage parent who did all that she could to raise me and my brothers. But sometimes you need both parents in your life. And by far, I missed out on having my dad present and teaching me things that I needed to know as a boy, as a young man, about manhood and adulthood and parenthood. Nonetheless, this vacuum began to grow and basically consumed me to the point where I started looking for acceptance and looking for leadership and looking for love and looking for validation in all the wrong places. Consequently, in my school, at that pivotal moment, there were some guys who were there for me and embraced me and showed me friendship and showed me acceptance and made me felt like I belonged, that I had found a family that would accept me for who I was. I didn't realize at the time that these guys were involved in criminal activity. And one of the things that began to happen is that I became influenced by those guys, and I ran off from home, ran away from home, and dropped out of high school to go live on their side of town. I had no idea that they were not going to let me into their house and accept me as one of their family members. I had no idea that they were not going to help me. I was 13 years of age. I was lost. I was desecrated. I was confused. I had a mistaken identity. I wanted to find my place. I wanted to be embraced. And one thing led to another. I became homeless immediately, the very first day. Not only did I become homeless, but I had no food to eat. I had to eat out of trash cans. I would sleep under an oak tree. I had no change of clothes, no hygienics. I had nothing there to support me but a will to live. Many times I had to jump up from sleeping under the oak tree to run for my life because all type of violent activities were happening and people were trying to take advantage of me. One night in the winter, after sleeping out there for months, this guy pulled up in the street and he said to me, "Why are you out here sleeping under this tree every night?" I replied, "Because I have no place to live." He said, "Come get in the car." I got in the automobile with him and he took me to his house, and there he introduced me to other drug dealers that lived in the room and house with him. And at the age of 13, after putting food on the table for me for about a week and giving me a couple of change of clothing, the guy said to me, "If you're going to survive out here in these streets, Rico, you're going to have to learn how to be a hustler." I didn't understand what he meant by that, but he handed me a bag of crack cocaine and he said, "Go out on the street and sell this crack cocaine." And I did that. And immediately I became a drug dealer. Then somebody handed me alcohol. And then I got addicted to alcohol. Then at the age of 13, they handed me marijuana. And I got addicted to marijuana. Then at the age of 13, they handed me cocaine. And I got addicted to snorting powder cocaine. So at the age of 13 now, I go from being at home with my mom and my two brothers and a A student in school to being a high school dropout, a runaway, homeless on the street, a drug dealer, addicted to marijuana, addicted to alcohol, addicted to cocaine, and a criminal that would soon be arrested 19 different times and sent to prison 3 different times. Finally, on that 3rd time in prison, I began to do some soul searching and realized that I can't continue to live like this. The judge labeled me a threat to society and said, "You don't deserve to be in society. I'm going to lock you up." And while sitting in prison for years, I began to realize that if I'm going to change my life, then I have to do it now. I cannot wait until I go back out to the outside world to try to change my life. I have to discover now who I am. And so what I did, ladies and gentlemen, is I began to focus internally. And I began to discover that I have something special, that I have something unique, that I have greatness in my life. I began to realize that I'm not that young man in the street that wants to be a drug dealer, wants to use drugs and commit crimes and possibly end up dying in the streets or spending the rest of my life in prison. And so I engaged in this program in school, in college, and in prison, which I call my college, I call my school, interpersonal skills. And interpersonal skills help me to focus internally and to really begin to come in contact with what I really possess on the inside in terms of my virtue and my qualities. And so I then went back to school inside of prison, and I finished and got my GED. And I met this young man, or older man rather, and I call him young out of compliment. His name's Billy. Billy was somebody who had done 30 years in prison and was never going home. And I made a deal with Billy. I said, "Billy, I'll buy you coffee and cigarettes if you would let me buy your books from you. I wanted to buy your library. I wanted to buy his personal books. And so Billy made an agreement that I would buy his books. Billy had an almanac. Billy had an encyclopedia. Billy had a concordance. He had Bibles. He had dictionaries. And I wanted those items. And I bought every single book that Billy had in his own library. I took those books back to my dormitory and I spread them across my bunk. And for 10, 12 hours a day for years, I studied, I memorized, and I self-educated myself. I wanted to make sure that when I came home out of prison, that I had enough change and transformation in my life that would guarantee me a new life. One of the things I discovered, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I get to you now. One of the things I discovered is that I need to get to know me. I need to get to know who I am. I needed internal discovery. I needed to learn what I had to offer the world, what I had to offer society. I need to learn what I was born with and created with by my creator. I needed to learn what type of qualities and gifts and skills and talents and authenticity and uniqueness that I had on the inside of me, because I wanted to live a different life. I wanted to be productive. I wanted to be positive. I wanted to live a prominent, promising life. And so I discovered that I have greatness on the inside of me. And I submit to you, number one, that if you're going to improve your life, focus internally. You see, when I was in the high school searching for a family, looking for a father figure, looking for someone that loved me, that would embrace me, I didn't realize at that time that I needed to be looking internally. But instead, my focus was externally. But when I began to put my focus internally, then I became intimately acquainted and familiar with myself. And that's what I submit to you today as point number one. Focus internally and intimately discover what you have on the inside, because you do have something. And oftentimes you have more than what you realize. Sometimes our lives are like books that are comprised of chapters. And there are certain parts of our lives that are revealed as we turn the page and we go from page to page and then chapter to chapter. And then we go from our beginning to our conclusion. And I submit to you that your conclusion has a happy ending today, but you just got to get back to focusing internally so that you can discover what it is that you have. You want to be familiar with your strengths and your weaknesses. You want to be familiar with your do's and your don'ts, your highs and your lows, the things that you like and the things that you don't like. And I know people would suggest that, hey, I'm 30 years old, I know me by now, or I'm 50 years old, I know me by now, or I'm 70 years old, I'm 90 years old, I know me by now. But can I suggest to you that there are always things on the inside that is constantly developing. There are gifts constantly developing, perspectives constantly developing. There are qualities and virtues that are constantly developing on the inside. It's just like your body. Your body is developed to regenerate itself. If you get a cut or a wound, it heals itself automatically. On the inside of you, your spirit, your soul, it regenerates. And there's always something fresh and new, something that you can bring forth that you didn't even know that you had. You discovered something today about you that you didn't know yesterday about you. The book of life says that a good man from the good treasures of his heart brings forth good things. Those treasures are constantly being developed, constantly evolving, constantly maturing, and you're constantly coming forth. We grow, we develop, we mature, we evolve. And then secondly, ladies and gentlemen, I had to realize that I got to have personal development in my life, which means I have to focus my time, my thought, my energy on developing what I discover. See, first I discover it, but then secondly, I develop it. I needed to develop what I learned about me. I need to develop my talent. I need to develop my skills. I need to develop my weaknesses and turn them into strength. I need to develop my dysfunctions. I need to develop habits and turn negative habits into positive habits. I need to develop my energy and turn negative energy into a positive energy. I need to develop my focus and mature my focus. I need to develop my brain, my mind. I need to develop me. I need to develop my interpersonal skills. And the more I develop me, the more I'm able now to walk in my purpose and maximize my potential. And then number three, ladies and gentlemen, I had to engage in interpersonal deployment. What is interpersonal deployment? That is when you take interpersonal skills that you've learned on the inside and you've developed internally, and now you're beginning to deploy them externally so that they can work within your relationships and build and brand your relationships to become the relationship that you want. Like the relationship with your spouses, your significant others, your lovers, your family members, biologically speaking, your kids, the relationships you have on a professional basis at work. I had to learn how to deploy what I have, because it's one thing to have gifts, skills, talents, and creativity on the inside, and it's benefiting no one but you, and no one knows about them but you. But it's another thing to deploy those gifts, skills, and talent so that they can flow into the lives of those that you are constantly engaged with. That way they can build relationships and build marriages and build businesses and build partnerships and build everything that you consider to be a part of your immediate community. And so the next thing that I want to suggest to you is that after you begin to deploy your skills and deploy your gifts and deploy your virtue and deploy your creativity into the lives of others, now you want to engage in what I call self-personal dedication. This is a commitment to you that lasts a lifetime. When you make a commitment, you commit to that commitment, and you do these 5 things. Number 1, you love you. You love you unconditionally. You love you even in times where it seems like no one else loves you. You love you even when it seems like people who are supposed to love you are failing and falling short in their love for you. If someone tells you, I hate you, I can't stand you, I don't want to be with you, I'm divorcing you, you're not worth anything, you don't have anything, you're sorry, you're lazy. If they just go out of their way to just harass your emotions, you stand your ground and you tell yourself, I am not going to receive that into my heart because I love me. I may not be where I want to be in life, but I love me for where I am in life. Then secondly, you believe in you. Never believe more in someone else than you do in yourself. It's easy for us to believe in others and their ability to make their life what they want and their dream their reality. But I need you, ladies and gentlemen, to believe in you. Believe in the power of you. Believe in the oneness of you. Believe in you to the point where no matter what your dreams, no matter what your ambitions and your aspirations are, you are standing toe to toe with your dreams, saying, I believe that I can have what I want to have. I believe I can do what I want to do. I believe I can live how I want to live. I believe I can accomplish what I want to accomplish because I can do all things through Christ. I can do all things through my higher power. I can do all things through my creator. And I can do all things through the interpersonal power that I possess on the inside. And then number 3, support you. This is a big one because we're good at supporting others, but I need you to support you. I need you to make a decision that I'm going to always be there for me, and I'm going to give me the support that I need. And if I find myself deviating from my plans because I'm having emotional battles, I'm dealing with trauma, I'm dealing with grief or sorrow, I'm dealing with setbacks and downfalls, I'm dealing with depression or anything, I'm going to support me by getting me the help that I need at that particular juncture in my life to get past whatever mountain stands before me and to make it through whatever storm I'm having to survive. And then as I support me, you know what's important to do? Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a big one. We must forgive us. Forgive you for every mistake you've made. Forgive you for every sorrow. Don't live with regrets. Don't live with remorse. Don't live with sorrows. Forgive you for the divorce. Forgive you for dropping out of high school. Forgive you for the drug use. Forgive you for wasting your investment financially. Forgive you for making decisions that have brought some levels of pain or rejection or hurt in your life. Forgive you for that. And then number 5, be your best friend. Never be more of a friend to anyone else than you are to yourself. Support you, believe in you, love you, and be your friend to the end. Be your friend to the end. If you're a friend to you, you're going to forgive you. If you're a friend to you, you're going to love you. If you're a friend to you, you're going to support you. If you are a friend to you, you're going to stand by you. And this is how I improve my life. And this is how I was able to discover what I have to offer and have now become someone who travels the world teaching and helping other people to live their best life. Bring out the best in you. Give life all you have to give, and you will begin to improve your life immediately. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It does not matter if no one else sees your greatness. You know your greatness. And as long as you know your greatness, you can continue to operate and to manifest from day to day the greatness that you were created to live. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what? I'm looking forward to seeing you in your future. I know that things are going to get a whole lot better for you. My name is Rico Sharp. Thank you so much for allowing me to have these 15 minutes of your time. I wish you the best.
Rico, you're the man. Thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I am fired up now, man. Let me tell you.
Thank you.
Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen, this has been an amazing event. Thank you, Rico. Thank you to Lisa and Tanya and Simona as well.
Absolutely.
This is just an amazing, amazing opportunity for all of us to be able to share this time with you. I hope you found inspiration, wisdom, and practical strategies to become true masters of change in your personal lives. These speakers have shared their insights, they've shared their stories, their journey of self-discovery and growth. Take their lessons you've learned, apply them consistently. Remember, you're both the artist and the artwork in your life. Your life is your canvas, and every choice you make, every action you take is a stroke of the chisel that shapes your future self. The power to create a life of purpose, fulfillment, and joy lies within your hands, and you now have the tools from these great speakers to implement them in your lives. So I encourage you to commit to being an active sculptor of your life. Set clear intentions, take bold actions, remain patient and persistent in your efforts. Surround yourself with supportive individuals who believe in your vision, just as our speakers believe in your potential. So the journey of personal growth is ongoing, and I just wanted to see, are there any final thoughts that our speakers have today for you? Is there anything that really kind of resonated from each of your sharings to help other people? Any final thoughts that you have? Tanya, how about you?
Oh my gosh, do I have final thoughts?
Right?
That's hilarious. I think, yeah, I mean, the big thing that all of any of us that serve other people, which is every speaker and including you, JB, that have been here today, is really about the fact that we're not talking just to talk.
Right.
Like literally we are driven by the motivation to alleviate suffering that other people might have that they don't need to have. But no matter what we say, doesn't matter how cool we are, doesn't matter how motivating we are, doesn't matter how scientific we are, it really is important that each person that hears something takes some type of action. Otherwise, it's just been a hangout time, which is cool, but we're all here to really help other people, to serve other people, take action and create that change. But that requires you, the audience, to do that.
Love that. Thank you. Simona, how about you?
Absolutely agree with Tanya, and this has been amazing time with all of you. I was listening to you as well as I was, of course, listening myself, but it has been our thoughts in a sort of this match that we have had in between our speeches. It has been really fantastic when it comes to that action. That is exactly what we need to do. Ideally, I align it with for the people that were listening to us. We are emotional beings. So when you have felt that sort of a resonance, internal resonance that you have had with the parts of what we were saying at the moments when we have been saying it, that was most likely that most important message for you at that moment when it emotionally resonated with you. So if you have catch up those moments, Yeah, or you can revisit most likely again then this speech and follow up with those thoughts. Those are the ones that you may truly follow up with on taking that further actions.
Love it. Thank you, Simona. Okay, Rico, bring us home, buddy. Bring us home.
Yes, I want to say never, ever give up on you. Never. It is going to happen in life. The others will give up on you. It is true. One of the ways that we understand this to be true is through the word divorce. You can be with your life's partner for many, many years and decades, and then all of a sudden end up in a divorce. Friends will give up on you. Sometimes family members will give up on you. Sometimes the people that you've supported along the way and helped in their time of need will give up on you. But you are married to you for life. You don't get to give up on you. You don't get to walk away from you. You don't get to pull the plug, the life support machine on you. You have to stand there, and when no one else believes in you, when no one else loves you, when no one else supports you, you got to give you the support you need, believe in you, and understand this. Make a commitment to yourself. Make a promise to yourself that I will always be there for me. And when times get tough, like the old saying is, the tough gets going. And understand that when it gets tough, all it's doing is developing you to make you stronger. And what doesn't destroy you will employ you. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger. Stand in the middle of everything you got to go through and continue to fight your way through, because you got greatness in your life and you can do all things. Thank you.
Well, you can't say it any better than these speakers have today. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Thank you. Thank you.
For being part of this incredible summit. And for those in the audience, may your journey of personal transformation be as rewarding as it is challenging. Remember, you're the sculptor of your life. Now, go forth, create your masterpiece. And we look forward to sharing other great stories and experiences at the next Global Speakers Talk Summit. See you next month. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
JB. Thank you, sir. Thank you.